I'm Tara. Today I'm going to be using some Infusible ink compatible blanks or sublimation blank Koozies with some Infusible ink sheets to create a finished product with nicely infused designs. I'm going to give you some suggestions for temperature and a few tips, so stay tuned. So some of the supplies that we're going to need today are Koozie blanks. I ordered a little package full on Amazon. I'll throw a description in the description, a link possibly, if I find some that you can just click in and order. And then you're gonna need some Infusible ink, whether you're gonna do sheets or today I'm gonna do sheets to show for this tutorial, but also you can use Infusible ink markers and pens and things like that to create your own designs. Definitely gonna need a heat press, a lint roller for sure. And then of course you're gonna need tweezers or a weeding tool and some scissors and a true control knife or some kind of a knife if needed. For your patterns, I like to use it to cut around the Infusible ink to try to salvage as much as I can to reuse the scraps.
So I'm just going to be doing this really simple design today. I'm going to put Coloma comets on one side and then I'm going to have a little comet on the other side. So I'm going to go ahead and take this over to my Maker 3 and go ahead and cut the project.
So I'm going to be using Infusible ink sheets today. I'm actually going to be using the yellow and green from the Patterns Jungle Safari from Cricut. I'm going to be doing green for the lettering and then yellow for my comet shape that I'm going to be making. So I've already got my project ready and loaded into my canvas and in Design Space. I've got it hooked up with the USB cable directly from my laptop to my machine. My Maker 3 I'm going to use today, and I'm going to go ahead and make sure I'm going to click Make It and make sure to mirror the image. When you're doing iron on, you want to mirror that image, especially when you have lettering and wording. Sometimes if we make a mistake with just a design, we can get by without doing the mirror image, but it's better to always do mirror so you don't forget. That's a tip. And then with the Maker 3, it always gives you a selection of whether you're going to use smart material, matte, or a combination of both. So I'm going to be using the matte. And then when you're doing two different colors, you want to make sure you scroll down to each different matte and make sure that that mirror toggle is pushed on for mirror image for each individual matte. Okay, I'm going to use my strong grip matte, selecting Infusible ink sheet. Okay, so I'm going to do my yellow first. I like to line up the top and then just kind of smooth it down and make sure that Infusible ink is face side up. Okay, so I've got my first one done, and what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take my true control knife and a ruler, and I'm gonna cut around this. Now another tip is you can also take and put a box in Design Space so that it'll cut out for you. Today I'm just gonna do a ruler and my true control knife. Okay, and again, I'm going to use my True Control knife. First, I'm going to click finish on my computer over here. Go ahead and close up my machine. I'm not going to be using it anymore. And I'm going to use my True Control knife to cut around these letters. So I actually picked this little board up at Five Below, which is sort of like a dollar store. Everything is $5 or less. Picked this up for $5 and it's super handy for ergonomics, trying to like be safe as a crafter. And I use it to weed so that I'm having my head up and I'm not all hunched over and aggravating anything. So I'm gonna use this. So once I've done the outside, then I take out the inside pieces that are not needed for the letters. And just a little tip, do a once over and make sure that there isn't any little stray pieces that have stuck to it, especially that have like infusible ink on it. Like for example, say the inside of the E or something stuck down here. Even if it's a little tiny piece, it's gonna infuse into your project and then you're not gonna be very happy. Okay, so I've got my lettering done. I'm just gonna do my comet. This one's gonna be pretty easy. Okay, I've got my items ready for both sides of my Koozie. I'm going to now turn on my heat press and get that warmed up. I've done a little bit of experimenting, and 385 with the Koozies for 40 seconds seems to be a sweet spot. I made these nice little camper ones for our family and with our names on the back, and it worked beautifully. And then also you want to make sure that you do the 10 to 15 seconds on the Koozie to take any moisture away. And then you're going to put your design down, some butcher paper, and then the heat press. So the layers are going to go heat press mat, then your Koozie, then your design, then butcher paper, then the heat press. Okay, so first of all, these are black on the inside, so there's a lot of black lint on the outside. So I'm going to take this and I'm gonna lint roll it. And before you set this down, lint roll your heat press mat. Check it for any debris, and then make sure that you've nicely lint rolled the sublimation blank. I keep saying infusible ink blank, but sublimation blank is what you'll want to look up when you're searching to buy Koozies. Okay, so I'm going to set this on here. I'm actually going to just throw a piece of paper on top of this to protect it, but heat it with my heat press. I'm going to go ahead and warm up, take out the moisture. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Just make sure that that Koozies had some moisture taken out of it. And then I'm going to go ahead, and as you can possibly hear that it beeped and it's ready, I'm going to go ahead and line up my design. So that looks pretty good. I'm just gonna make sure it's nice and tight on there. Got like about a finger width between that letter and a finger width between the first letters. Looks pretty even. It's nice having those little grid lines on there to help me keep it even. So I have some cut scrap pieces of butcher paper. So I'm gonna go ahead and use this to do this project. So I'm just gonna lay my butcher paper down. Matte, Koozie, design, butcher paper. Heat press, I'm pressing start, 40 seconds at 385. And I'm gonna do some pressure here to make sure that's infusing nicely. Okay, it's gonna be nice and hot. I use this side of the butcher paper, so I'm actually gonna just cut that. I'm not gonna reuse the part that's already had some connection with some dye. And just in case it's a little hot, pull that off. Okay. I'm gonna turn it over. Just do a once over on the lint rolling. I'm gonna warm it up again. So the other side, I'm gonna just throw this piece of paper down. Warm it up for about 10-15 seconds. Okay. And then I'm gonna go ahead and put my little comet design on here. And I think I like it like that. So I'm gonna go ahead and throw my piece of butcher paper on top. Heat press, 385, 40 seconds. So there's my comet. There's the other side. Just some Infusible ink sheets and sublimation blank Koozie and a maker or a die cutting machine and quick, easy little gifts, things that you can use for yourself, party favors, super simple, super easy. I hope this was helpful for you. The 385 on the Cricut Easy Press 2 for 40 seconds is what worked for me. If you found other settings that might be helpful, if you have a different type of a heat press, please comment that below to be helpful for other crafters and creators. Thank you for joining me. And if this was beneficial to you, make sure that you give it a like, and I'd love to have you subscribe to my channel to follow me for future crafts and tutorials. Thanks, and have a great rest of your day.